Today, guys, we have the S22 Ultra versus the S21 Ultra. Let's see if it makes sense to upgrade or not. First off, guys, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for your guys' support. We are almost at 400 subscribers, almost halfway to our goal of 1,000 subscribers, and I think we can do it. Thank you so much for enjoying the content, tuning in, and if you haven't already and you'd like to support the channel, please click subscribe. It helps a ton, more than you know. Thank you. Okay, so starting off with the pictures, really the only different one that I see is the very first picture, and it's a little bit overexposed. You can see the orange juice is a little bit lighter than the one on the right, which is the S21 Ultra. So other than that, to be honest with you, they're pretty much the same camera. Same amount of display, same color profile for the most part. Bokeh effect is still really good on both. I don't really see a difference just with the naked eye. You guys let me know in the comments. What do you guys see that's different? I'll give them a draw on this. So this is the rear camera recording. Oh my god, I almost fell. Yeah, I know, we always hear cars on this side of town. But what do you guys think? I'm gonna be honest, it's really hard to tell the difference between the two. Crazy, right? Hey guys, this is the front facing camera. Doesn't look very different on both. I mean, maybe the sky looks a little bit, actually it looks a little bit better on the, that's a car, so you guys can hear the microphone. Not a good car, but it's a car. But yeah, this is the front facing camera. What do you guys think? Now, when it comes to battery life on both of these phones, you guys will see the numbers. I'm gonna put them up right here. The results that I've gotten, about 5 hours of screen on time, 5.5, not quite 6, but the battery life is pretty much the same. Charging speeds, even though the S22 Ultra does support a 45 watt faster charging, and it can, you know, it's supposed to be way faster, and normally, like logically, you would think, wow, 45 watt is way faster than 25 watt. But in actuality, charging speeds are about the same. You're gonna get full charge from 0 to 100 in about an hour and 8 minutes, an hour and 10 minutes or so. If you do it with the 45 watt charger on this, you can do it in a little bit over an hour. Which, again, it seems like a lot better, especially when you're looking at the numbers or the statistics, but in real world usage, it's not even 8 minutes, not even 10 minutes. It's crazy. So, battery life, pretty much the exact. Now, in regards to the display itself, I don't see a difference. Do you guys see a difference? I mean, maybe it's a little bit more sharp on the S22 Ultra. Obviously, the display looks a little bit better just because it's squared off. I prefer the squared off look, believe it or not, as opposed to the rounded corners on the S22 Ultra. Display size about the same. There's not anything to write home to mom about. It's the same thing. I give it a draw on this, honestly. I don't think one's superior to the others. And here's the thing, whenever I'm looking at upgrading from one generation to the other, you have to prove to me as the consumer why it would make sense to upgrade. And this is just not something that is enough evidence for me to say, hey, oh my god, I need to get the better display. So display wise, about the same to me. Now you guys will see in build quality, they both are great. I think the build quality when it comes to these smartphones, with the glass back and the matted finish, and then the aluminum rails on the side, I think we have it down. This is the look that people want. And the iPhone did this look as well too. Samsung's doing this look. I think more and more companies are going to start to do this look. Pixel partially did this look with the Pixel 6, not quite the Pixel 6 Pro. They still stuck to the glossy back. But in regards to this, they both have the frosted back matte finish on the back. Aluminum rails. The build quality is A+. I mean, it's pretty much the same build quality on both, right? So I will give it an A+ on both. Again, this is a tie. This is a tie in my book. In regards to the performance, you're gonna get great performance on both. In my opinion, from my testing, just from what I've used, there's no difference between the Snapdragon 888 and the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. It's the same, honestly. You know, of course, you know, it's probably getting better benchmark scores, etc. But on a day-to-day use, for the average consumer, and actually even for the person that uses a ton of phones, you're not going to notice a difference between the two. I think long and gone are the days where the older Samsung phones after a year or 6 months would start to lag. It's not like that anymore. And S21 Ultra is just as snappy, just as responsive as the S22 Ultra. They're both doing great performance-wise, and some would even argue that the S21 Ultra could handle more just because of the added 4 gigs of RAM that you could potentially get on that model. So all in all, performance about the same. I give it a tie. When it comes to functionality and I guess ultimately ease of use, what's the difference between both, right? Okay, so here is the main difference that I found between these two phones, and I think this is going to be the deciding factor as to whether or not you go with the S21 Ultra or you upgrade to the S22 Ultra, or maybe even if you get the S22 Plus. The S21 Ultra, what it has going for it is its similar battery life. You know, specs are pretty much the same. In fact, this could be argued that this is a little bit better because you can get a little bit more RAM with this. But the biggest difference is the size, how it feels in the hand. Now, screen size, you're not gonna miss very much. They're both big displays, so they're gonna both feel about the same look-wise, even though the Note 20 or the S22 Ultra is a little bit bigger, and just ultimately it has bigger dimensions. But this feels way better in the hand. It's a lot easier to maneuver with one hand, and that's the main difference that you're gonna get with this phone right here. The difference with this over here, however, is you get that squared off design, which we all like, the iconic Note look, and the S Pen. So this is where you have to ask yourself, how much are you going to utilize the S Pen? Like, how much use are you going to get from it? And is it enough to warrant the price difference? And that's really the main difference between both. Everything else, every other aspect, in my opinion, is a very close draw. Obviously the S22 is slightly better, but it's not enough to make it a definitive, like, okay, this is definitely better in this aspect. It's about the same phone overall. So I guess, does the S Pen make a difference to you? Value ultimately comes down to two things. Can you get a good deal on a used one? Or are the trade-in promos really, really good? Now, ever since the pre-order promos ended on the S22 Ultra, they've actually increased the trade-in value on certain trade-in devices to, I guess, ultimately match up with the same deal that they had before. So it's something to look into. I always think the trade-in promos are really, really good with new phones. So that's where the value argument is kind of valid still, right? Like, if you can get this one on the used market for $300 less, why would you want this? Well, the reason why you would want the newer phone is because you can get a really good deal, especially if you're trading in an older device, even like a Note 20 Ultra, which is not that old. Like, I think it's still a great phone, but it's old enough to where it's, you know, it may warrant an upgrade, but they're still going to give you top dollar for that phone. I think they were offering $900 for that phone, or may still be offering that much. So it's definitely something to look at. Value, it's pretty much the same. I mean, if you can find this used, it's going to be a lot easier to find an S21 Ultra over an S22 Ultra used, right? But if you can find an S22 Ultra at the right price on OfferUp, Craigslist, I would jump for it. Sometimes people just want to get rid of these phones, and you'd be surprised what you could find them for. Maybe $400. Actually, I remember last year, I think I bought one of these for, I think it was $425 or something like that. It's tough to find, and you can find those deals, but if we're going new for new, I mean, I would just probably go, the value I think goes with the S22 Ultra. I think the S22 Ultra with the trade-in promos, it's unmatched right now. So who wins? Well, obviously, if we're gonna be picky people and be like, oh, this one wins, the S22 Ultra is a very, very incrementally better phone. It is. You know, the bokeh effect on the portrait is better. The nighttime vision is a little bit better. The display's a little bit bigger. The charging speed's a little bit faster. So the S22 Ultra wins by default. But in my opinion, if I have the S21 Ultra already, and you're asking me, should I pay an extra, $600 or $650 to upgrade to this, even with that trade-in promo, I'd say hold on to this and wait and see what the Z Fold 4 does, or see what the Z Flip 3. This is the first year where they launch the Z Fold 4 with the new updated specs, from last year, right? Last year they increased the 120 hertz on the main, on the little display and on the big display. They've already pretty much fixed everything. So now we're gonna wait and see what they innovate and improvise and add this year. So I would wait. That's my take. So the S22 Ultra, you win, but not by very much. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you guys like the content that you guys saw here, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend. Please, that way it will allow me to grow this channel, potentially do this full time, and make money to feed my dogs. I'm kidding. We already feed them, but I'm serious though. It would be awesome to get to 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate your guys' help. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.